33 years, thousands of startups, 1 unicorn, 65 people, 4,550 minutes of interviews, thousands of transcript pages, 1 documentary, 1 ecosystem. Romanian Startups, Roaring Tigers of Europe documentary, coming December 2023.
What title would you give to a documentary about Romanian startups and Romanian startup founders?
Wow. Okay.
What title?
A title? Let me think about this. It needs to be a good one.
I would give the name Make or Break. The time has come for our ecosystem to either flourish or break down within its own pressure.
I would name it Hacking Goliath.
My title would be Do We Know Where We're Going? And how to get there.
The birthland of the startup hustle mentality or something like this.
Maybe the underdogs of startups, the underdogs of the startup world. I think something along those lines.
Inception.
Making it big without knowing what big is. Maybe something like that.
The search for meaning.
I would come up with something like a little bit more poetic and dramatic. The storm at the border.
There was no ecosystem. Back then, there were no angel investors. There were obviously no venture funds. And there were no startups. I mean, if you do something like that, that was called a company. Or maybe a small company, but there was that the idea of a startup did not existed in anyone's minds.
I will always remember that event. I think there were about 70, 80 people in total. And it was very different than what I had imagined. So in my mind, the event would be very, sparkling, like people talking to each other, like you would see an event today. We could barely select 10 startups to pitch. And we had like 50 people in the room.
There's no exact date when the Romanian startup ecosystem was born. Some may say it was in the early days of capitalism after the fall of the communist regime. Others may say those were the days of the hustlers, the modern-day Romanian oligarchs. But one thing is sure, a new generation of entrepreneurs was born, yet few words were written about them.
At the end of the day, the ones who really can make a company conquer the world and make the world a better place are its very founders. I think the founders are the only species I know who simply don't rest until the problem is solved.
People who prepared in communist schools and universities to be engineers, teachers, employees started working for themselves, with instinct, passion, and no history of knowledge in business. An ecosystem was born, even if they didn't know back then, at the first gathering and events.
My mother and dad almost got scared that I got money from nothing. And creating a company, again, it's back in 92, so very, very early days. It felt at that time like Bișniță as opposed to business, right? It felt that it's abnormal to do business. But it was amazing, and I learned a lot.
Against the odds, these people soon came to understand that their work could bring value. Then they would sell it to a bigger player and start a new journey.
Immediately after college, I sold that product to the Autodesk distributor in Romania. And that was really a huge step for me. First, that I understood that creating a library actually grows the exponentiality of the business so much more. And second, I got somehow to the business part of it, which is you create a company, you have a piece of software, and then you sell the company that it's almost nothing.
A generation of entrepreneurs was born, but they didn't know it yet. Without any example, in a country that still valued the safety net brought by school and a cushy job offered by the state. There were no models, just motivation. There were no Silicon Valley garages.
So I had a few models, but very, very remote, very, very far away. Nothing close, nothing that I could relate to here or nearby. In terms of the family and relatives, of course, they were very scared of the concept itself. They didn't understand it much. They thought that this would be something very risky, and it looked like something that was not, how should I say, appropriate to do at the time. So I did it against them in a way.
In 1996, actually, I started my own agency. I was 23 years old. I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship, about, I don't know, capital, hiring people, having a company in the very bureaucratic system that we had back then. I didn't know anything, but it was amazing to see that the market was so empty that almost anything you would have done would reach the clients.
This is their story, the trailblazers, the founders, the young guns that made it, the people that built companies and sold them, the people that grew people, grew teams, grew managers, and also grew other startup founders.
It started with a few companies: Bitdefender, RAV, Flamingo Computers, then the dot-com boom when websites and online products appeared. People started gathering, though they may have not known that a community was starting. The first events gathered few people.
I'll tell you when I had a shock. I was in Bitdefender at that time. I think it was back in 2015-16, I can't remember exactly. And the company was sponsoring an event called How to Web, yeah, now we know it. And they asked me, look, Mihai, you go, you please, can you go and mentor some guys? And I said, what's this How to Web? It's an event, it's, you know, but okay, I said, I'm open to experiences. I said, okay, I'll go. And that was really the first time when I was in shock. I discovered this world.
In 2013, started also to look more on the small partners, such as startups, emerging startups in Romania, in the technology fields. And then I started thinking about, okay, why not trying to work and to collaborate also with them. And actually, that was the spark in the let's say in building such a relation between Orange and the technical community, the startup technical.
Those founders are now investors, serial entrepreneurs, mentors for the new generation of startups and founders. One that is connected to the global ecosystem, one that multiplies. When they are not working, they dream of unicorns.
You need to realize that you need to show some growth in order to get investment. In order, you need to sell, to have sales in order to build value and have these products and these people, this team. I had to consider myself a startup founder.
Founders learned concepts and strategies in the last 33 years, building a product, market fit, community. Most of them started from a simple agency, entrepreneurs but working for others. But building a startup is not an easy road.
I remember a few questions of, are you sure you want to do that again? Because if you look back when I started my first digital agency, I remember there was no honeymoon, there was no the Elon Musk story. There was actually, I remember only sleeping a few hours per night, almost always figuring out how to pay salaries, the next bills, the next thing, trying to find new clients. So it wasn't the, oh, that was the fun part, I want to do it again. That was super hard. What's better now and why now? And I think nobody has a plan B when they start a startup or a company. If you have this, you are not committed, and probably you're just putting some bets out and see what's the outcome. So I never had plan B, and probably that's the best or the healthiest way to build something.
Whilst I was building my agency, I was thinking about products. I was thinking about I was imagining that it's much easier to get clients and to grow a product. You build it once and then you just scale it. You know, they come to you. You build a magnificent product and then you're just going to get clients. You do marketing for it, and I know how to do marketing. So, you know, it's going to be much easier than working with clients as an agency. Yeah, that was wrong. I didn't expect how hard it's going to be.
Romania had its first unicorn with UiPath. Today, the country is fourth in the region in terms of investments.
But you can't put passion, tears and sweat in an Excel. This is their story.
The founders, the investors, the entrepreneurs, the winners, the losers, the big names and the forgotten ones. Those who made it and those who will try it again. Romanian Startups, Roaring Tigers of Europe, coming December 2023.